This is the easiest to build pigeon loft I can think of. It's going to have plywood for both sides and the back. So the first thing you do is you want to build the sides first. You first cut the plywood to be the depth, the height you want, and then what you do is you then attach the legs. You attach the legs that'll stand on to the sides, and then across the top you put an extra board, and I'll show you what that board's for later. So then you do the exact same thing for the other side. So now we've got the sides of the loft. Then you make the back of the loft. The back of the loft is going to be, you can see it's the same height, and it's going to have a board that goes across the top. And this can be like a furring strip. You can put a 2x4 across there if you want. That's a little heavy. The furring strips are about half the size of a 2x4. So then to assemble the loft, what is eventually going to happen is that you're going to take the sides and you're going to stand up. You're going to take the side here with the legs on the outside. This is very important. You have the legs on the outside, and then what you do is with this board on the outside here, you're going to then, I'm just going to use tape, you're going to then screw, you're going to screw the back, you're going to screw the piece of plywood that makes the back, and you're going to screw that into the leg. So the leg ends up being a corner piece, and it holds the side to the back. And so the screw is going to go through the plywood, and it's going to go into the leg. And of course here you can either use nails or screws to go from the plywood side into the leg. So the leg is the thing that is holding everything together. So now let me put the other piece on here. And then look at that. You have two side walls and a back. And then let's take a look at it this way. So we've got two side walls and a back. And then you know this piece right here? The next thing you do is you've got the roof. Now this is the roof. You cut the piece of plywood out that's going to be the same width as the back and the same depth as the front, and then you put two sticks on the underside and you glue them and screw them in place, or glue them and nail them, and that's going to keep the roof from sagging. So these are then you put like two of them across there, and then that's going to keep the roof from bowing over time. So now after you have that, it's just a sheet of plywood with the two sticks. You then assemble, and then just like the back goes into it, the top will screw in to these top pieces. So you see you got this piece right here. So you got the legs here, and then you have this cross member, and then when you run your screws in, the screws go into that piece of wood. It doesn't go into the plywood, it goes into this cross member here. And then we just use a piece of tape. So that's what it looks like so far. The next thing you'll need is your mesh floor. So what you'll do is, this is the floor that they're going to walk on. So what you do is you take a board here, and then a board here, and then you make cross pieces like that. And then you run a screw into the end, and then you run a screw into both ends, and now you have a grid that's for the floor. And then you can take the mesh and put it on here, and then put staples all around the edge, and that'll hold it. Now these cross pieces will keep the mesh from bowing. So you'll want to have the distance from here to here is about like 8 or 10 inches. So depending upon how wide you've got this, go like, 8 or 10 inches, put a cross piece, 8 or 10, put a cross piece, and then poof. And then this will go right in here, and then you run, along the bottom of the plywood, you run the screws in, there, and then poof, that's your floor grid. Now let's just imagine that this has been screwed in place. And then the last thing you need, or the second to last thing you need, is you need the front with a door. Well, you make another grid just like this. And the only difference being is for your door, you'll have pieces like this, and then you'll put the mesh all the way around it, and then you just have these two extra pieces, and then you make a door that opens right here, and then you can reach in, and then this attaches right there, just like the floor. Just like the floor goes in like this, you'll have a front screen that goes just like this, and then poof, and then the only thing left is the poopy tray. Now for the poopy tray, imagine that you've got your floor in, and then the poopy tray, you put a 2x4 there, or like, some kind of stick, and then one here, and then you just make a tray that slides in on the runners. And there you go, the easiest loft in the world to build.